The most satisfying part wasn't watching my sister's mother-in-law panic. It wasn't the silence that spread across the wedding reception. And it definitely wasn't seeing my sister realize she'd made a huge mistake. The most satisfying part was picking up the envelope containing their honeymoon package, while everyone suddenly begged me to stay. 5 minutes earlier, I'd been told to stand next to a trash can because there were no seats left. Funny how quickly people remember your value when they're about to lose something expensive. I'm Ethan, 29 years old, and this is how my sister's wedding became the last family event I attended. My sister Emma and I grew up incredibly close. When our parents divorced, we leaned on each other. When she struggled financially in college, I helped whenever I could. I never expected anything in return because that's what family is supposed to do. When Emma got engaged to Daniel, I was genuinely happy for her. Daniel was a decent guy. The problem was his mother, Sharon. From the first day we met, Sharon looked down on me. I work as an electrician and own a small business. I make a good living, but Sharon acted as if I spent my days digging ditches with a shovel. At family gatherings, she'd happily talk with lawyers, doctors, and executives. Then she'd eventually turn toward me and ask, "Still pulling wires?" Everyone knew it was insulting. Everyone laughed it off, including Emma. Whenever I complained, she'd say, "That's just how Sharon is." Apparently being rude becomes acceptable when people call it a personality trait. I tolerated it for Emma's sake. Then the wedding planning started. A few months before the wedding, Emma called me crying. The honeymoon she'd always dreamed about was becoming impossible because wedding expenses kept increasing. I hated hearing her upset, so I decided to surprise her. I spent nearly $8,000 booking a 2-week honeymoon in Italy. Flights, hotels, tour, everything. When I told Emma, she burst into tears and hugged me. She said she'd never forget what I'd done for her. Unfortunately, she forgot faster than I expected. The wedding day arrived. The ceremony was beautiful, and I couldn't have been happier for my sister. Afterward, everyone moved to the reception hall. I started looking for my seat assignment. I checked every table. Nothing. No name card. No chair. At first, I assumed it was a mistake. I found one of the event coordinators and explained the situation. She checked the seating chart twice before walking me over to Sharon. The moment Sharon saw me approaching, she looked annoyed. I explained that my name wasn't on the seating chart. Without even pretending to care, she pointed toward the far corner of the room. There was a large decorative trash can beside the wall. Then she smiled and said, "You can stand by the trash, we're out of seats." For a moment, I honestly thought she was joking. She wasn't. A few nearby guests heard her and looked uncomfortable. I looked around the room. Every seat was occupied. Then I noticed something unbelievable. A tiny reserved chair had been placed beside one table for a relative's cat that appeared in family photos. The cat wasn't even there, but it had a seat. I didn't. I looked at Emma, expecting her to fix the situation. Instead, she sighed and quietly said, "Can you just let it go for today?" That hurt far more than Sharon's insult. Because Sharon wasn't my family, Emma was, and she had just chosen the easier option instead of standing up for her own brother. Something inside me changed in that moment. I stopped being angry. I became calm, very calm. I smiled and said, "You're right." Emma looked relieved. Then I walked directly to the gift table. I picked up a large envelope and started heading toward the exit. "Where are you going?" Emma asked. I stopped and turned around. "Taking back my gift." The room went silent. "What gift?" Sharon demanded. I held up the envelope. "The honeymoon." Emma's face immediately lost all color. I continued. "The flights, the hotels, the tour. The entire trip to Italy." Daniel looked like he'd just been hit by a truck. Sharon's confidence disappeared instantly. Suddenly, the woman who told me to stand beside a trash can wanted to have a conversation. "Now wait just a minute," she said. I almost laughed. 5 minutes ago, I wasn't important enough for a chair. Now I was important enough to stop. "Interesting." Emma rushed over. "Ethan, please don't do this." I looked at her. "Don't do what?" "Embarrass family in public." She didn't have an answer, because she knew exactly what I meant. I glanced around the room and said something I'll probably never forget. "If the cat deserved a seat and I didn't, maybe the cat can pay for the honeymoon too." Several guests burst out laughing. Even Daniel struggled to hide a smile. Sharon looked furious. I didn't care. I walked out. By the time I got home, I'd canceled every reservation, every flight, every hotel booking, everything. Over the next few days, my phone exploded. Calls, texts, voicemails, apologies, excuses. Apparently, nobody thought standing by the trash was a big deal until $8,000 disappeared. Eventually, Emma came to see me. For the first time, she admitted I'd been right about Sharon. She apologized for not standing up for me. I accepted her apology because holding on to anger forever isn't healthy. But forgiveness doesn't magically rebuild trust. The relationship we once had never fully returned. And honestly, that's the saddest part of the story. Not the money, not the wedding, not even the humiliation. What hurt most was realizing that when my sister had to choose between keeping the peace and defending me, she chose peace. As for Sharon, she still tells people I ruined the wedding. Maybe she's right, but weddings aren't ruined by the people who refuse to be disrespected. They're ruined by the people doing the disrespecting. And if you're wondering whether I regret taking back that honeymoon, not for a single second, because losing a vacation is temporary. Losing your self-respect lasts a lot longer.